About Stoicism. Stoicism is a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Athens, founded by Zeno of Citium around the 3rd century BC. Zeno was originally a merchant, but after losing all his fortune in a shipwreck, he turned to philosophy. Fascinated by the ideas of Socrates through the works of Xenophon, Zeno became a student of the Cynic philosopher Crates, from which he developed his own ideas. The name Stoic comes from the Stoa Poikile, a public market where Zeno taught, reflecting his desire to bring philosophy closer to real life, rather than being confined to academia. Stoicism emphasizes living in harmony with nature, cultivating reason, accepting the uncontrollable and focusing on personal virtue. This philosophy flourished during the Hellenistic and Roman periods, deeply influencing many great thinkers such as Seneca, a Roman philosopher and politician, Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosophy professor, and especially Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of Rome. A special feature of Stoicism is its egalitarian approach, including women, a rarity in ancient philosophies. A typical example is Portia Catonis, daughter of the philosopher Cato the Younger, who was known for her courage and strong Stoic spirit. Although weakened with the rise of Christianity, the core ideas of Stoicism continued to spread and influence later thinkers such as St. Paul, Thomas Aquinas, Descartes and Spinoza, maintaining a timeless value in Western philosophy. The core principles of Stoicism. Stoicism is not just an abstract philosophical system, but also a practical way of life, helping people live better by being in harmony with nature and developing reason. The two core principles of Stoicism, living in accordance with nature, and applying reason to improve social life, form the foundation for the entire ideology of this school. 1. Living in accordance with nature. The concept of living in accordance with nature is not simply living close to nature, but more deeply, it is living in harmony with human nature. According to the Stoics, humans are a part of nature and possess special qualities, reason, moral consciousness and the ability to live in society. Therefore, to live properly, each individual needs to clearly understand this nature and adjust his or her behavior accordingly. Living in harmony with nature means accepting what is beyond our control, such as illness, loss, death, and focusing only on what we can control, such as our thoughts, actions, and moral choices. The Stoics believed that inner peace comes not from controlling the outside world, but from being able to control ourselves. This is a therapeutic approach, helping people face difficulties calmly and clearly. 2. Using reason to improve social life. According to Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, humans are inherently social creatures. That means we live not only for ourselves but also for the community. Using reason not only to solve personal problems but also to act justly, compassionately, and responsibly towards others. That is living a full Stoic life. Reason is not just a tool for logical thinking, but also the foundation of morality. When we put the common good above our personal ambitions, when we act with kindness and integrity even when no one is watching, we are practicing Stoic philosophy in our lives. Every intentional action, every decision towards goodness, no matter how small, contributes to building a more harmonious and humane society. Thus, Stoicism does not encourage withdrawal from the world, but on the contrary, invites us to live proactively, consciously, and usefully. By living in accordance with nature and using reason to serve the community, each person not only finds peace for himself but also spreads positive values to the whole society. 2 fundamental pillars of Stoic philosophy. Stoic philosophy from ancient times to the present has remained valid thanks to 2 solid theoretical pillars, the 4 cardinal virtues and the dichotomy of control. These are not just theories, but a compass to help people live a life of virtue, serenity, and clear goals. 1. The 4 cardinal virtues. The Stoics believe that a good life is a moral life, and that morality is built on 4 core virtues. Practical wisdom. This is the ability to distinguish right from wrong, good from bad, and to make decisions appropriate to real-life situations. It is not book knowledge but wisdom applied in daily life. People with this virtue know when to act, when to retreat, and what is truly useful. Courage. Not just the courage to fight or face danger, but the moral courage to do what is right in the face of criticism, failure, or loss. Courage helps us stay true to ourselves and our values, even when it is not easy. Justice. This is the virtue that shapes how we treat others, with kindness, fairness, and respect. The Stoics believed that moral living cannot be separated from social responsibility. Acting justly is the foundation for building a strong and harmonious community. Temperance. This is the ability to control oneself, to regulate emotions, desires, and actions in moderation. Temperance is not controlled by greed, anger, or fear. They choose the middle path, knowing when enough is enough. 2. The dichotomy of control. One of the most profound contributions of Stoicism is the concept of the dichotomy of control. According to this, everything in life falls into two categories. Things we can control, such as our own thoughts, beliefs, intentions, actions, and efforts. Things beyond our control, such as the weather, the behavior of others, recognition, the end results of our efforts. Stoics learn to focus only on what they can control. Instead of worrying about things that are beyond their control, they put all their energy into their own thoughts and actions. They internalize their goals. That is, they judge success not by external results but by how well they have lived and acted in accordance with their values. In this way they achieve true inner freedom and peace, unshaken by the changing world around them. Together, the four virtues help shape ethical behavior, while the dichotomy of control teaches us how to stay strong in the face of adversity. This is the core of a Stoic life: resilience, integrity, and freedom. Stoicism in everyday life. One of the most striking and practical aspects of Stoicism is its applicability to everyday life. It is not a philosophy that is far removed from reality, but a guide to living a calm, ethical, and responsible life in an ever-changing world. For example, when you are waiting for a promotion, a Stoic will not worry too much about the outcome, which depends on many factors beyond their control, such as the boss's judgment, company policy, or competition from colleagues. Instead, they focus on preparation, personal effort, and professional conduct, things that are completely within their control. This way, whether or not you get the promotion, you can have peace of mind knowing that you did your best. In relationships too, instead of worrying about whether others like you, something you can't control, focus on being a caring, honest, kind, and trustworthy person. This will not only improve your relationships, but will also help you live up to your own values. Happiness, according to the Stoic spirit, comes not from things going your way, but from the inner peace of knowing that you did your best within your control. This clarity makes you less likely to blame others, less likely to criticize yourself, and more likely to be forgiving in difficult situations. Understanding what is and isn't within your control is not only a core principle, but also the path to a free, stable, and compassionate life. Role ethics in Stoicism. One of the most modern and accessible approaches to Stoicism is that of Brian Johnson, who describes the philosophy as a form of role ethics. Living a Stoic life means being aware of the roles we play in life and acting in a way that is right, ethical, and just. Brian Johnson divides human roles into three categories. The fundamental role, being a human being, a citizen of the universe. This is the most universal and important role, transcending any personal characteristics such as occupation, social status, or living circumstances. In this role, our responsibility is to live in accordance with reason, to live for the common good, and to prioritize what is beneficial to humanity. The Stoics place great emphasis on kindness, justice, and compassion, because they reflect the true goodness of human nature. Roles are given to us by circumstances, such as children, parents, colleagues, or spouses. These roles are often not chosen by us, but we can take them on with responsibility and dedication. Roles are chosen by us, such as our profession, our passion, or our life direction. In these roles, performing them consistently and ethically is also a reflection of the Stoic character. In all roles, integrity is key, not selling ourselves short for temporary gain, and striving to become a better version of ourselves every day. Role ethics helps us live proactively, with direction, and maintain consistency between our inner beliefs and our outer actions. This is what creates true peace, freedom, and dignity in our lives. The metaphor of masks in Stoicism. In Stoic philosophy there is a profound and rich metaphor. Life is like a play, and each of us is an actor on the stage of the universe. Just as the actors in ancient Greece wore different masks to play their roles, we also take on different roles in life, as children, as parents, as friends, as citizens, as colleagues, etc. While each mask represents a role, what is important is not the mask we wear, but how we play that role. The Stoics believe that a happy life is not an easy or perfect life, but a life in which we play our roles well, whether they are big or small, prominent or hidden. While we cannot choose the script or the circumstances, we can always choose how we play them, with integrity, responsibility, and dedication. If you are a father, be a caring father. If you are an employee, work honestly and diligently. If you are a friend, be present by listening and understanding. Stoicism does not require us to stick to one role, but helps us balance our roles, maintaining ourselves in each situation. Ultimately, what matters is not how many masks we have worn in life, but how we have lived authentically, lived well, and lived meaningfully in each of those roles. The metaphor of the mask reminds us that life is temporary, but it is how we present ourselves each day that creates eternal value. Mastering the art of compromise in the Stoic mind. Disagreements are inevitable in life, from work, family to social relationships. Instead of rigidly defending one's own views or trying to win or lose in every situation, Stoicism encourages us to master the art of compromise, as a manifestation of wisdom, tolerance and focus on what really matters. Compromise is not a sign of weakness, but a deliberate choice to achieve harmony and progress. Stoics understand that not every argument needs to be won. Instead, they are willing to give in on non-core issues, to preserve relationships, build trust and reach common goals. More importantly, compromise is not just a communication strategy, but also a way to master yourself, because it requires us to control our ego, listen well, and accept that we are not always right. In the workplace, this helps create lasting collaboration. In the family, it creates cohesion. In society, it contributes to building harmony and consensus. Stoics also always ask themselves, is this really important? If the answer is no, they are willing to let go of stubbornness. On the contrary, with core values such as integrity, justice or compassion, they will hold firm without giving in. In short, the art of compromise does not diminish personal values, but enhances the ability to live harmoniously, skillfully and with purpose. By knowing when to give in and when to hold on, we will not only live more wisely but also spread peace and understanding to all the relationships around us. Growing from the ashes of conflict. Lessons from Stoicism. In Stoic philosophy, conflict is not seen as something negative that should be avoided at all costs. On the contrary, it is an inevitable part of life, where people with different perspectives, emotions and values coexist. The important thing is not to avoid conflict, but how we respond to it and learn from it. Stoicism teaches us that conflict can be an opportunity for growth, if we know how to look at it with an open and honest mind. When disagreements arise, instead of blaming or getting angry, Stoics choose to step back, observe and ask, what can I learn from this situation? Or, am I reacting based on emotion rather than reason? Every conflict is a mirror of the inner self. It helps us recognize our weaknesses, re-examine our values and cultivate essential qualities such as patience, calmness and tolerance. Just as steel is tempered by fire, so the soul is tempered by conflict. It is an opportunity to become stronger, not through power or argument, but through maturity and understanding. Even major conflicts, whether in personal relationships or in the workplace, if handled properly, can become turning points that improve connections, build trust and create positive change. This requires the courage to dialogue, the spirit of continuous learning and above all, the will to overcome the ego. From a Stoic perspective, the ashes of conflict are not the end, but fertile ground for sowing the seeds of growth, a growth that is sustainable, profound and humane. Conflict, when viewed properly, is no longer an obstacle but a valuable opportunity for us to grow. With mindfulness and integrity, we can rise strong from our collisions and build a life of depth, harmony and meaning.